Hey, good morning. What is up? This is the Leafs Convo. Norman London, Mike in Buffalo. It is February 15th, 2026, Season 8, Episode 25 of your favorite Leafs show every single Sunday morning. The spectacular is on the go. Mr. Augello, good morning. It's Canada on the ice versus France in Milano. Should be an absolute rout. Canada, what I think 10 goals for, 1 goal against. The US also 2-0 in their preliminary play, having their way with their opponents. And I think they're destined to meet one another, hopefully in the gold medal game next Saturday. So that should be a lot of fun. How are you today?
Good morning, Norm. Well, let's just say, I mean, Canada should roll over France like the Germans rolled over the French in 1940.
Oh,
Yeah, that's, I
woo!
mean,
That's
eh,
personal.
well, no, I'm just saying, I'm just using a historical comparative. But yeah, no, you look at the Olympics, and as an American, I'm critical of the way that they played against. Latvia is a tough out, and not a cakewalk, and they were 1-1 in the second period before they opened it up a can of whoop ass. Yesterday's game, I on the off the post, I ripped into Mike Sullivan because um he played the worst of the three goalies in the game,
Yeah.
and it almost cost him. Jeremy Swayman let in a goal from center ice. So, I mean, the U.S., they're 2-0, and they're probably going to be the second seed in the get a bye and be the second seed behind Canada. If they beat Germany today, Canada's going to, probably win 10-0 against France. So, and, for those, who are looking at Canada, I think the only thing you have to guard against when it comes to Canada is hubris, is the fact that, okay, the Czechs are not very good, but everybody thought they were going to be a good team,
Mhm.
and they beat them soundly. They had a little bit of trouble with Switzerland. Switzerland is a higher level team, but they didn't get great goaltending. I didn't think, from Schmid. After he started off well, and then it sort of slipped. But Canada is just a juggernaut. So um, if all things line up, then next weekend we're going to have a gold medal game between Canada and the United States. But Sweden is there, and Finland is there, and there are teams that in a medal round, in a one-game scenario, could beat the U.S. and could beat Canada. So it's not guaranteed.
Hey, this is the Convo. Norman London, Mike in Buffalo. I see you in the chat. Like the content, subscribe to the channel. We appreciate all of your support. I repeat myself constantly every single week, and I mean it from the bottom of my heart. Who does a gold medal mean more to, Canada or the United States?
I think it means more to the U.S. Okay, let's say this: if Canada wins the gold, they were supposed to, because they're the best.
Right.
And there is a pressure out there for them to win, because
Mm-hmm.
they always win. They won in 20, and they didn't win in Nagano in 98. They won in Salt Lake, they won in Vancouver, they won in Sochi, and then it's been 12 years since they've been to the Olympics. The '06 was Sweden, 98 was Dominic Hasek standing on his head. Um there's no Russia, like
Right.
people in the chat are saying. So their main obstacle is the US, like it was in 2010.
Mm-hmm.
The mentality of Canada is, if they win the gold medal, we're the best.
Mm-hmm.
Team USA is looking at the four nations and saying, we lost by a goal because Canada got great goaltending and we didn't, because on one play, their big guy showed up in overtime. I just hope one way or the other it doesn't end up being a fluky thing. It's like,
Right.
if the US wins and it's in a shootout, or if it's in a 3-on-3 in overtime, and don't get me wrong, people in the United States will be dancing a jig, but I just hope it's a good, I hope it's along the lines of 2010, where it was a great goal by Crosby, and it was a great moment. If the U.S. wins, I hope it's a similar moment, but we'll see.
The Canadian team is absolutely stacked. I mean,
Mhm.
they just ran roughshod over Czechia, and look, Switzerland didn't have much of a chance. I don't think any team they're going to face up until the United States will give them, a threat that is going to cause them to sweat. And the crazy thing is, this Canadian team is probably not even close to being the best Canadian team of all time that has represented the red and white at the Olympics, which is pretty remarkable. I think it comes down to the composition of the team
Yeah.
and the determination of the players, right? Like, this is like the World Juniors. You got a bunch of great junior hockey players who do well in their leagues. They come together, the cohesion isn't there, and they just provide lackluster play and can't get anywhere on an international stage. It's not like it happens all the time, but it happens from time to time. I think, unfortunately for everybody else, vying for a gold medal in Milano right now, Canada's, really looking sharp. That said, I mean, let's just see how the rest of the games play out, and whether, the United States can kind of catch lightning in a bottle in that final game, if and when they do meet. And again, on the other side, the American team has a lot of determination, and of course, they're playing for a little retribution after losing in the Four Nations Cup.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of pressure on both teams. I think it's different for Canada. Like I said, I think Canada, there's the pressure there. Everybody expects them to win, so we need to win. And I get that. It's like,
Right.
With Team USA, we haven't won since 1980. And I'm pretty sure, because I think the gold medal game is next Sunday.
Right.
I'm pretty sure that's the 46th anniversary of the Miracle on Ice. If it's the 22nd, it's either the 22nd or 23rd of February, and it would be something if that game was on that anniversary and that they won the gold medal again. But I'm just saying, there are problems with the American team. And we'll get to the Leaf players playing in the Olympics in a second. There are problems with the American team. Like I said, starting Jeremy Swayman against Denmark was asinine. He's the third best goalie. It should have been Jake Ottinger. They're lucky it didn't cost them.
Why do that? Why did Mike Sullivan
because they believe Jeremy Swayman. Well, here's the thing that's the most asinine. It's like, okay, you were not going to play Hellebuck. Hellebuck was the goalie who was going to play today against Germany.
Right.
But you use him as the backup, which means that Swayman has to stay in because you're not going to use your starter 3 games in a row. Why is the Ottinger not the backup in case Swayman shits the bed? Which
Does he just want everybody to play and get a shot? I mean,
what
is this the Little League?
Ottinger's not playing.
Right.
Ottinger's, there were some people who thought Ottinger was a better choice than Hellebuck. So, but it's that, and guys like Vincent Trocheck and JT Miller being on the team instead of Jason Robertson and Cole Caulfield. I mean, there are debates in Canada. Should it have been Connor Bedard? Should it instead of Sam Bennett, or and everybody can have those. These are all-star teams. They really are. If US doesn't win, it's not going to be because they chose Vincent Trocheck. So it's going to be on the big players playing at the big time. And that's where the U.S. has something to prove. Great. Matthew Tkachuk has won a couple Stanley Cups. Jack Eichel has won a Stanley Cup. We're not talking about Stanley Cups. We're talking about Olympic gold medal. That's what we're talking about. And one of the players that has a lot to prove is Austin Matthews. Yep. And,
he picked up an assist.
It was a big assist. He's playing well. Okay, he's playing well. He's not.
I'm not being facetious. I just
no.
Matter of fact,
right. Eichel's been better, but Matthews has been noticeable. But I find it laughable that in the social media Toronto Maple Leaf sphere, that fans, and it might be just clickbait, and I get it, but fans are pissed off that Matthews showed physicality when going into a scrum with Denmark, and he cross-checked somebody and he showed the passion. I've seen Austin Matthews push back and show the passion in Toronto. The reason that you're criticizing is A, he's on Team USA, and B, the Leafs are losing right now. So I get it, but stop it.
Everything's tribal in sports, Mike. People speak before they think.
Well, there's a lot of that going around.
Yeah. This is the convo. Like the content, subscribe to the channel. Norman, London, Mike, and Buffalo. A lot of fans of the show, most likely watching Canada, Germany right now. But
Oh,
again, you
France,
don't have,
Canada,
yeah, or
France.
sorry, Canada, France. You don't have to watch us live. You can watch us anytime. Watch us back. Watch us on double the speed, and you can get through the show pretty quickly. Again, just back to Canada and the way that roster was put together. I mean, Sam Bennett, Tom Wilson. I mean, they're not the best players that Hockey Canada could have selected for this group
Sure.
to go and compete in Milano, but they're looking for players to do things at specific positions and accomplish the goals that are laid out, and that's to win. And I mean, these guys are tough; they're winners, and it's going to be really difficult for the United States to beat Canada. But again, as you mentioned, 46 years to potentially the day of the win. Was it in Lake Placid?
Yep.
1980, and obviously that's just a major milestone in American sport. And again, just considering the political climate and everything that's going on right now, and a lot of it's drummed up by certain individuals. But a Canada USA hockey final at the Olympics is going to draw a lot of attention. And instead of it being a divisive moment, I think it's going to be a moment of the two countries coming together. Believe it or not.
It was February 22nd, 1980. So it is the 46th anniversary of on next Sunday. If it's Canada US, it'll be the anniversary. And that wasn't even the gold medal game back in 1980.
Right.
They played sort of a round robin, and
Right.
they beat the Soviets, but then they had to beat Finland to win the gold. It's funny, Norman. I'll just brief on this. I was one of probably the few people in the US that was watching that game live, because being in Buffalo, I could watch the CBC, or I think it might have even been CTV broadcast back then, and they carried those games live, like they're carrying it on TSN and whatever now. Whereas ABC didn't think they were going to beat the Russians, the Soviets, so they tape delayed it, and they were going to play at 7:30. And even like some of the local channels were like, if you want to see the result of the game, turn your head, and then they showed the result. But I was watching it live on CT. It was Don Chevrier was doing Don Chevrier or Don Whitman, I don't know, but they were doing the broadcast, and I watched it live. And it's like on a black and white TV in my basement. So it's
in Canada, when it comes to broadcasting, it's either a Don, a Gordy, or a Rob.
Yeah. Or Danny Gallivan.
Well, you need to be honest. You were tuning in to see Tyler Cranston perform, and you just ended up watching hockey. Okay, so Austin Matthews is doing his thing. Leaf fans are going to love him and hate him for performing over there to a higher degree or a lesser degree. Look, let's face it. This hasn't been a great season for the Maple Leafs, and despite the 3-game winning streak before the Olympic break, the team should not attempt to make the playoffs. Instead, retool for 26-27. What about OEL and William Nylander? I haven't really paid much attention to what Sweden's doing. Do we really care how they perform? It's not like a lot of us are wanting Sweden to do anything of substance in Milano. However, we have side-eyeing what's going on with the guys who represent the blue and white.
Well, I mean, I think what's going on with Nylander has to be a concern with the Leafs, and this is why I say that, because he played those 3 games before the break, and he played really well. Almost to the point that I think he was trying to prove to everybody he was healthy. Okay, he goes over there. He's not practicing in between games. He's being used. He's being utilized, but the Swedish coach has made some questionable decisions, like not playing Oliver Ekman-Larsson 1 minute, 1 second in the first game. He was the 7th defenseman, and he sat him completely.
Why would he do that? Does he giving preference to players who come out of the Swedish league?
No, it's because he's a moron, because that was a stupid decision. I mean, every team that has 7 defensemen, Team Canada, the US, everyone is using, they're not utilizing them for like 20 minutes. They're playing them 6 or 7 minutes, but they mix them in. I mean, and that was a game they played against Italy where it was 2-2 in the second period, and then but they're not playing very well. Nylander, I think, has been okay, but there clearly is something going on with him that they have to sit him in practices. So he's nursing something.
Right.
The concern here for the Leafs, for those few out there that think the Leafs can still make a run for the playoffs, is that he's clearly dinged. If he comes back, I have a weird feeling he's going to get placed on IR because, I think
that's a good thing.
Well,
he's not getting traded, and he's going to be away from a team that could potentially take small steps forward when it really should be either neutral or quietly regressing.
Well, the problem here is there's almost no chance that they're going to finish in the bottom 5. So bottoming out to keep your pick is unlikely. So you're sort of in that I always call it the mushy middle. You're sort of in that mushy middle where you don't want to finish too badly, but you're going to sell. So you sort of want to pick in like the 11th or 12th and not give Boston a premium draft pick. I mean, the stuff out there right now, and Oliver Ekman-Larsson, I mean, he's basically a seventh defenseman there, and that's his role, and I think he's just happy to be there. I don't think Sweden's going to go very far. They have to play an extra game. They're going to be part of the qualification pool for the quarterfinals. Right. So they have to play an extra game. I would find it very hard to think that they can just turn it on and be great. But I'm looking at the Leafs right now and what it means. I mean, if Nylander doesn't go on IR, he's clearly going to be limited in terms of what he can do. I mean, the thing I would like to understand here and like to see is if Brad Treliving will be making deals coming right out of the roster freeze. Like that, if he's been talking with other GMs, that if you're trading a guy like Ekman-Larsson, who's 34 years old, who is having a good year, whether you make that deal right away, whether you don't wait to try to drum up more business before March the 6th, that you make it right away. Now, there's been a lot of talk out there. Elliot Friedman has said the Leafs are selling. David Pagnotta has been saying the Leafs are selling. Pierre LeBrun has been basically saying that. I heard something from Darren Drager that, they're going to wait until March the 6th. And
the pundits are saying this. Most fans want to believe it.
Right. And the thing is, Drager is the one who said, well, they may hold on to these guys until right before the deadline. They don't want to. And I'm like, okay, what to me, the way I interpret that is, and first of all, I think I'm not saying that Drager is inaccurate in terms of that being floated out there. I think it's shit, but I think it's shit because the Leafs are trying to say, oh, no, we're not selling, but if you give us the right price, we might sell. Right. So they're playing hard to get. And that makes sense. So the question is, how deep and where do they go? Mm-hmm. And if we go through the position by position, like I know we're going to do, we can talk about that, because I think there are avenues where they could make 3 or 4 trades, or they can make 2 trades. I would opt for the 3 or 4 trades because I think that recoups a lot of capital that they need to recoup.
Hey guys, remember, if you're watching us on your handheld device, it doesn't really matter what it is. After the show is fully uploaded, so like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, hit the hype button. We appreciate that. It's not a major deal, but it does kind of help us, put our hand up to the YouTube algorithm and say, here we are, give us a shot, put us out there, and that does help grow the project. The Leafs could come back after the break and go on an unprecedented run. Mm-hmm. It's possible, but why risk it? Why risk, holding everybody back, not talking about, making transactions that'll benefit the team going forward, and taking a run at it, even if they want a couple of games out of the break. The math is not on their side. 15 wins are needed out of the last 25 games, something like 33 points. Like, you could try it, but if it doesn't work out and you're left on the outside looking in with all the same guys and nothing to help, augment the future when it comes to picks, futures, other players, then this was just an absolutely lost season, and you start from behind the 8 ball in terms of growth going forward. and that's a risk that the management is going to have to take either way. Go for it or decide that this isn't going to be the year. Take the bullets from the fan base who wants the team to try to attempt a run, and do what's right for the organization.
Well, the one concern I have here is the sort of whispers out there that
Right.
MLS&E does not want to, go scorched earth, and they shouldn't. And that's not the direction that I think that the Leafs should do. But
that would mean that means your focus and your plan would be to rebuild, and we've already litigated that, Mike.
right,
The team needs a retool.
right. But the thing I'm concerned about is MLS&E thinks that we shouldn't. Okay, not to say we don't give a.
Forget the gate. Forget the money.
But Norm, that's obviously a factor because they don't want to okay, scorched earth, tear down, rebuild does not make any sense, especially when you don't have 2 draft picks, your first round picks, your own for the next 2 years. So that was ruled out because it's good sense. I don't want it being determined the direction of the team because they want to guarantee the gate of 1 round of the friggin' playoffs. We've been down that road before. That was what happened after 2004, after the lockout, after they came back, and for 3 or 4 years, they basically said, well, we can push here and we can get that, John Ferguson Jr. can't do the things that he wants to do because he's got to try to make the playoffs. And if we make the playoffs, then we get the play. No, the goal is to win the Stanley Cup here.
Right.
The goal is to win and you've got 2 or 3 players that you can build around in terms of being the core group of a team that could win the Stanley Cup. But and so you don't tear down, and you don't trade the Nyses, and you don't trade the Nylanders, and you don't trade the Matthews. You need to retool, and that's what I'm hoping that's what the direction that they're going in. But until I see them do it, then I'll be skeptical. But okay, let's start goaltending. The random element here is Dennis Hildeby, because he is not waiver exempt next year, and he has proven that he can play in the NHL. So, can you trade Anthony Stolarz even before the 4-year extension kicks in?
Right.
And I think you can, because the AAV on it is relatively low, $3.75 million. And since the cap is going up, term really doesn't mean much. It's how much room you have on the cap. And if a team needs a veteran goalie, and I said on the previous podcast, I think a team like Utah makes sense because they have a bad number 2 and they have Vemelka, who's a number 1. And Stolarz would fit in there. I mean, fit perfectly in terms of a tandem. So you could dump him. I don't think you're going to get much for him because there's term. You may have to take a salary back, but I think you need to clear out that contract. You do not trade Joseph Wall. You do not trade Hildeby. That is your tandem going forward. And Stolarz, because of his injury history, is something I think you need to move. It may be tough to do it, but I think there are options out there, and the goaltending is at a premium now. So I think they could move a Stolarz.
The irony would be, Mike, and I apologize for interrupting, Stolarz sticking around, getting into a rhythm, offsetting what Joseph Wall's not doing, and keeping this team in contention down the stretch to enough of a point where it gets everybody hot and bothered, and they don't make it in. And we kind of look like one of those teams that, try as they might, it just never works out when this is an organization that should be vying for a Stanley Cup every single season. Competent leadership would determine that, despite the overall trajectory of the organization the last decade, this isn't going to work in 2026. Pump the brakes and let's, reorganize for another real run beginning in the fall of 26 going into 2027.
Yeah, T-Sack in the chat is just doing his usual troll bull crap because he's like, keep Stolarz, trade Wall. Okay,
he's one of the guys he just wants. I know, believes. He believes. Let him believe.
But believe the wrong things. Keep doing it.
No,
but it's like trade Stolarz, who's 31 years old, or keep Stolarz, who's 31 years old and injury prone, and trade the 26-year-old guy who's the better of the 2 goalies. So that makes a lot of sense.
Okay, so now we're thinking that would be a good trade. They wouldn't get a lot for him, but you can move him out. You've got Wall, you've got Hildeby. What about the defense?
Okay, on defense, I mean, everybody's talking about Morgan Riley, and and based on that bull crap from last week from somebody who I don't know.
There's nothing to talk about on Riley.
Well, I mean, and even David Pagnotta said it on Jeff Merrick's podcast. He's like, they may have a conversation over the summer like they had last summer and say, we really would like to do something here. Would he be open to it? And if he says no, then it's not happening. So the only option that they would have is buying him out. But that's a summer thing. I think the chances of them trading, Morgan Riley to San Jose, like the stupid rumor was saying, is just ridiculous.
Are you telling me that you think it's worse PR to coerce him into agreeing to be traded to a place like San Jose than it is to buy him out?
Yes, I think
really?
I think putting pressure on a guy who clearly does not want to leave is bad optics. If he wants to go, if he says, you know what, I'm at the point in my career where maybe I need a change, I need a different scenery. You guys need to go get younger, whatever. Okay, if he's on board with it, fine.
Right.
If you're pushing him out the door, the New York Rangers have not recovered from pushing their captain Jacob Trouba out the door and having him go to Anaheim. They have, and you know what? He's still a decent defenseman in Anaheim. So why do it?
But maybe this organization needs more ruthlessness.
Maybe
it's too nice. Maybe it's too complicit.
Well, I mean, all I know is the Rangers they have a black mark against them because of things like that. And the Leafs have enough challenges. They don't need a black mark.
Okay. I grant your point. So again, if we get to the trade deadline and we've, whether we like it or not, we've determined that the Leafs are just not a player for a playoff position this spring.
I don't think that they're trading for Dougie Hamilton as has been out there. What I do think, Norm, is this is where the hinge comes in here. You've got two players. I think they need to trade one of them. You can trade Simone Benoit. He's got a year left in his contract. You could trade Troy Stetcher. He's been a nice little, and get mid-round picks, whatever. That's draft capital, whatever. It's two players. It's Oliver Ekman-Larsson and it's Carlo. And you're not trading both of them, because if you're trading both of them, that's the direction of a rebuild. That's a tear down. Then you're cleaning house. You're keeping one and you're trading the other. And in most instances, I keep the younger player, even though the younger player may not be better. He's a different type of player.
Who do you get more for?
I think you get more for Ekman-Larsson because he's having a good year. He still can skate. He's got 2 years left at a very reasonable $3.5 million salary. I think there's interest in there. I mean,
what a pickup that would be for a team that is hungry to win a championship, and it just feels like this could be the season. And they have assets to send the other way. That would be a massive pickup.
Yeah, I mean, there have been reports about Carolina being interested in Ekman-Larsson. We know that supposedly Edmonton is interested in him. It's all going to depend on the return. I mean, with Edmonton, there's the Andrew Mangiapane factor here, where the Leafs may take him back as to clear salary, so they would get draft capital from that, like a third or fourth round pick. And then if you're trading Ekman-Larsson, it'd probably be their first in 2027, or a prospect like Isaac Howard or Matthew Savoy. So, I mean, there's an opportunity to turn things around and get young players to come in here. It's, pro scouting is going to be a big part of this, because if you're taking players back instead of a first round pick, then that player better hit. But I think Carlo has indicated, like somebody in the chat said, he wants to stay in Toronto. He's got a year left in his contract. You can't sign him to an extension until July 1st. He's a right shot. I would re-sign him. He's not going to cost you a ton because he's a defensive defenseman and he's not a big scorer. Whereas Ekman-Larsson, he's under contract for 2 more years. That's probably the last contract of his career. I think you get more for Ekman-Larsson, so I would trade OEL, and I would.
What do you think you could get for OEL?
I think you can get a first round pick. I mean, if it's Carolina, they have Dallas's first round pick, which will be in the 20s.
Right.
And if Dallas wins the Stanley Cup, it could be the last pick in the first round, but it's a first round pick. And this is a good draft. So
Right.
I think they can get a first round pick. I think they could get a 27 first round pick, or the guys that I mentioned in a deal with Edmonton. So they can get a significant return. So that's one deal. And for me, I know people love Benoit because he hits. I think he's too inconsistent. If you could get a third round pick for him, I would do it. If
Can you replace him?
I think they're a defense. I'd like to see what William Villeneuve could do in the NHL. I'd like to see what Henry Thrun could do in the NHL, but they haven't given him an opportunity. I mean, these are guys clearly that don't fit with Berube. Berube likes Ben. I mean, you could send Philippe Myers to the moon, and I would pay a 7th round pick. That's how bad that.
Would you listen to offers on Jake McCabe?
No, and he's got trade protection. So, and Tanev, I mean, we don't know if Tanev's career is over with right now. That's why
when you say trade protection, he's
got a no trade. I think he's got a 15-team no trade. So,
but if a team that was not among the 15
called on, I mean, he's got term on his deal. He's got 4 years left. I think he's still a good defenseman. You've got to keep. See, that's the thing. You've got to keep somebody, and you're keeping Riley right now. Tanev, you're hoping that Tanev comes back. You're keeping Carlo. You're keeping McCabe. So that's 4 defensemen. If your idea here is to reset or retool and bring in a couple players and change the composition of the team, then you have to keep at least 4 of those defensemen and change the other 2.
So OEL honestly could just be the cherry on top for a team that wants to bolster its defense. I mean, he's just competent. He's been around. He's offensive. He just wow. What a pickup that would be for some team, and they'd have to pay for him. Benoit, maybe a 3rd round pick. Do you think you can spin Troy Stecher into another draft pick?
Yeah, I think you could. I mean, for a team that's looking for a depth defenseman, I mean, they like him, and I get that. Then they wouldn't have a problem re-signing him in the summer if
he likes it in Toronto too. So
so I mean, okay. So center, same thing as on defense. You've got 2 guys that you can't trade. You're not trading Austin Matthews, so T-Sack, shut up. You're not trading.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you could put that deal together, lickety split, minutes before the deadline. That's an easy one.
Yeah, you're not trading John Tavares because he's got a no move clause. Right. So it's Nick Waugh or it's Scott Laughton, and the
Leafs are going to get calls on both of those guys.
Well, here's the thing. I don't think they're going to trade both of them. I think if they get Laughton on an extension, which they say, Laughton says, I want to stay in Toronto, blah, 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 blah. Okay, put your money where your mouth is. Sign the extension. If you don't sign the extension before the trade deadline, then you trade Laughton, because Laughton you lose for nothing if he goes to free agency. If you sign Laughton, then you trade Nick Waugh. He's got a year left in his contract. Again, Edmonton supposedly is interested. I'm sure there are a few other teams that are interested in a big right shot center who's under the age of 30, who's, he's a good player. I mean, for where the Leafs are right now, I mean, it doesn't fit because right now they're not in a position to win a Stanley Cup. But for a team like Vegas, not that they're going to trade him back to Vegas or Dallas or Colorado or Edmonton, he's a good fit. So that's a guy that I could see the Leafs trading if they get Laughton signed to the contract. If they don't get Laughton signed to the contract, I think he's gone.
So one of the two. Okay, so the Leafs could potentially get a 1st round pick, a 3rd round pick, a pick. Maybe there's a player involved out of 3 defensemen, and that would be OEL. Who else am I talking about here? Stecher,
OEL, Carlo, or Stecher.
Well, I'm thinking Carlo. I'm thinking Carlo was going to stay, but it would be Benoit, OEL, maybe Stecher. So there's a potential for 3 picks, a really high pick there, and then it's either Waugh or Laughton. I mean, we love Laughton. We love the guy. He's had a pretty good year. I mean, he was the kind of guy you want on your team. But I mean, he's like he when he got traded to the Leafs last year, he was gripping it too tight. You could tell he was a little uncomfortable. He had been in Philadelphia for a decade. and it just didn't necessarily go well for him. The team was still on a bit of a heater, and on the flip side now the team is mediocre, and Lawton looks great. So, I mean, again, it's really all about the future. So you got a
Lawton,
potential pick for a potential pick for
yeah.
Lorentz or Waugh. There's Bobby McMahon in the mix too. So
Yeah, no. Okay, so I think at max they trade two defensemen,
okay,
OEL and either Benoit or Stetcher.
okay,
Up front, I think they trade one of the centers.
yeah,
Left wing, Bobby McMahon is as good as gone. This should be the first move.
right.
Is right after the roster freeze, make the trade. Don't wait. Don't risk him getting hurt. The value is there. The free agent market is barren. Panarin signed the extension. Alex Tuck is probably staying in Buffalo. There is not a lot of stuff out there. You could get a premium for a Bobby McMahon who's going to score
Sure.
20 goals for the second year in a row. I think you can get a first round pick again. This is the Edmonton supposedly interested, but at 1.3 million, every contender is interested. That you shop him around and you get the best return because he's a good player. He's done well. College free agent, overachiever. I like Bobby McMahon. They just where they are right now. You cannot risk or you cannot sign him for a 4-year deal at 29 years old at $4.5 to $5 million. No, you need younger players, and you need to move him for whatever you can get and recoup draft capital and prospects. So Bobby McMahon. The other one on the left side is Matthias Michelli. The question here is, are you going to qualify him this summer after this year? Because the qualifying offer is $4 million.
He's just a guy.
Right. And that's my point. It's like, if you don't qualify him, he's an unrestricted free agent and he leaves. Mm-hmm. So if somebody's offering a third round pick, I trade him. Right. It's like, I'm sorry. It's like you have to make the determination now. Are you keeping him? Are you qualifying him? Are you going to sign him to another deal, or are you not going to do it? If you're not going to do it, then you trade him because at least you're getting something for him. The other one on the left side, and he's played the left side, he's played the right side, Nick Robertson. I'm sorry. I keep him because I think he's more valuable than what you get in a trade. So
what do you think? What do you think a team offers for him? Because we talked about Robertson staying, potentially going, maybe being traded because he's just kind of a fish out of water with this particular group. Again, he can score. I mean, but would he be the linchpin for a team that considers itself a contender and was ready to blow up?
No, at most you get a second round pick because teams out there know he can score. Maybe a team out there puts him in the position that he should be put.
So what do you get for him?
Right, a second round pick, and that's not enough. And that's enough. I think he's more valuable to try. I mean, I would play Nick Robertson after you trade McMahon. I would play him in the top 6 and say, you know what? Let's see what he can do. I mean, before you send this, we know he's not great defensively, but he's pretty, and we know he's got a phenomenal shot. Put him with Matthews. Put him with Tavares. Who gives a goddamn? Play the guy. Play him in a scoring role.
Especially now. I mean, Mike, is your focus here after the deadline, and you'd be happy with the team accruing mainly draft picks? I mean, that's what it seems like the Leafs would be able to bring back for the players that we've just discussed. Do you think there's anybody out there that the Leafs might be able to wrangle in on a deal that could help the team, not necessarily down this stretch, but in the years to come, sooner than later?
I mean, I think that the potential of getting one of those kids from Edmonton who are young, like Isaac Howard.
Yeah.
I mean, he's well thought of. First round pick of Tampa Bay, lit it up in the NCAA and the World Juniors, went to Edmonton. I mean, he's played well in Bakersfield. I think he's an NHLer, but I mean, he may be a year or two away. But if they get him in a bigger deal, I think that would be a success. I mean, but yeah, it's mostly going to be draft picks. It really is. And okay, just because they're asking in the chat on the right side, obviously you're not trading Nylander. I would drive Domi to the airport, but I don't think Anybody's taking him at 3.75 million for 2 more years. He's a defensive liability, but
And if somebody did want him, then
but he play. The thing here's the key: he plays well with Matthews.
he does. That's correct.
He's less of a liability with Matthews. So
and you can't get rid of everybody, Mike. This is a retool, not a rebuild.
Right, exactly. So now James in the chat says Kings could be interested in McMahon with a Fiala injury. Yes, and but in that instance, then you're asking the Kings for a first round pick. And the thing
do
is,
the Kings have
they have their first round pick, but the thing is, the Kings are basically trying to get into the playoffs. Bobby McMahon is a guy that a team that is a serious contender adds. So I don't think it's a fit. But other than that, it's like on the right side, they're not trading Nylander. They're probably not trading Domi. You may get a mid to low round pick for a veteran like Kali Yarncroke. But so, I mean, we go through the roster here, and at the most, I would say 4 trades. At the least, I would say 2.
And who at the Marlies is like right there screaming for attention to get into the NHL?
Quillen, play the guy. See, this is the other thing. I tell Craig Berube, if I'm Brad Treliving after the deadline, I don't give a goddamn what your preferences are. We need to find out what this kid can do. Play him. Don't play him 5 minutes. Play him 12 minutes. Play him on the third line. We know Scott Lawton can play fourth line center. He doesn't need to prove he can play third line center this year. We need to know what we have in Jacob Quillen. He's got speed. He's scored at the American Hockey League level. Play him. There might be a couple other players like Villeneuve, like Thrun, like Noah Chadwick, like Luke Hames. I mean, there are a number of players. Now, some of them may not be ready. I'm not for forcing them into the NHL, but give them a taste. But
Mike, where's Dakota Joshua?
Well, he's hurt. I mean, we don't know what's going on right now he had a lacerated kidney. I know he skated before the Olympic break. He might be done for the year.
Lacerated kidney.
Yeah. I mean, he got hit along the boards in Detroit, and
that's wild.
He got a lacerated kidney. So
can you like OG's Converse? What the fuck do you do all day? Like at what point do you put yourself in a position to potentially suffer an injury as severe as a lacerated kidney? Like, good God. Okay, let's just forget about him.
And last thing, a broken clock is right twice a day, and TSAC actually had a good point. He mentioned Line-A, then that's not going to happen. But what I think might happen with the Leafs, and the Mangiapane is part of this, is an example of the Leafs. They could put Chris Tanev on season-ending LTIR, and the same with Joshua if the injury to his kidney is season-ending. That would open up $8 million in cap space. They could sell cap space. They could take on a Mangiapane for a draft pick. They could take on another contract from somebody else. Remember, they're going to be trading salary out. So if they bring salary back in,
is that what they did with Olli Jokinen?
Yeah, I think so.
Remember, he came in. He was here for a short time and a terrible time. He just hated he said this place sucks.
Yeah, well, they were a shitty franchise at that.
Yeah, point. I mean they were bottoming out. So just based on like some simple math here, there's a potential the Leafs could trade out five players. And bring back some really nice stuff. If Bobby McMahon's involved in a trade, OEL. Do you think that 2 first-round picks are in the Leafs' future here in the next month, and then maybe 4 or 5 other picks?
I think they're going to get a first-round pick in one of these deals. 2 would be.
You don't think you'll get a first-round pick for OEL?
I think if it's Edmonton, they would have to take back Mangiapane to get the number 1. But they might want the player, the young player, over their 27 first-round pick. They might, because Isaac Howard or Savoy might be a better return or a quicker return than waiting another year for a draft pick. That's where the calculation of pro scouting is a big thing here. If they're trading OEL for a young prospect like an Isaac Howard, you need to know whether Isaac Howard is going to be an NHL or an effective one. Otherwise, you're just getting a minor leaguer who can't play in the NHL. You need to make that calculation, send your pro scouts out there, find out what this guy is, and then make a determination. So, I mean, the funny thing is, like I said in the previous show, they have a director of amateur scouting who's well regarded. If you look at their 2025 draft, they did pretty good for having very few picks. You've got to give the guy bullets in the chamber to be able to be effective.
But here's the thing, Mike. We talk about retooling over rebuilding, but really all this this next month is going to do for the Maple Leafs is restock.
Yes. Yeah. Well, okay. We know that this group can't win because they haven't. They're inconsistent. They're just not good enough. What you need to do is move out the players that you can, get what you can back, and then in the summer, if it's Treliving or if it's somebody else, go out and add pieces around the core group that can be successful.
I would feel more comfortable leaving Treliving in place through this restocking and the opportunity for him to retool one more time. Like I don't like him making trades just to empty out his office for his successor to come in and pick up where he left off. Well, I think he needs a little longer. And again, I'm not saying I like the guy, and his moves have been spotty. But I mean, no general manager out there really just has the ultimate Midas touch. I mean, especially with this Maple Leafs team. I mean, there's just something about what happens here that is different from every other organization. Last few points, and we'll get out of here.
Yeah, I mean that's up to Keith Pelly. I would tend to agree to that, but it's a question of whether Keith Pelly sees Treliving was hired by Shanahan, and now I got to get my guy in here. I mean,
but what does Pelly know? Like, what does Pelly know? All he's
in charge. It doesn't matter what he knows. He's in charge.
I mean, what did Shanny know? I mean, and he plays for 600 goals, but did he know how to be an executive?
What does Rogers know? That's the thing. They've screwed up the Blue Jays for years, but. My point. I mean,
well, they got the Jays. It looks like the Jays are on the right path now. So
we'll see. I mean, they
went to
they did it for 1 year. Let's see if they can repeat the success. Okay. But with what's going on right now, I mean, most every GM in this league can do what the Leafs have Treliving doing, which is selling. You sell to the best package available, and you get what you can for these players. It's the rebuilding or retooling and adding and fitting. Now, my thing is Craig Berube needs to be gone after this year.
He looks like he wants to go anyway.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying because they crafted a team that was supposed to fit Craig Berube, and they missed the playoffs. So no more crafting a team for a coach. Put the best team together and have the coach them. And I don't think he's done a very good job. And I think that he's going to lose his job, or he should lose his job.
He came in to motivate. Clearly, Matthews and Nylander and Marner, while he was here, didn't need the motive. They didn't need the motivation. They needed some puck luck, and they needed to play teams that were lacked nerve. And unfortunately, they haven't faced. The Leafs have not. This group has not faced a team that's really inferior to it in a playoff setting, and that's the issue. Like they needed an easy road, and they really never got one.
The only team that they faced that was inferior to them in the playoffs was the team that they beat last year, which was Ottawa.
I mean, they slipped past Tampa, but Tampa just was they were exhausted at that stage of the game. Okay, last word to you. We got to go.
Yep. Well, I mean, last word will be the Olympics. I'm looking forward to, these preliminary quarterfinal games. Obviously, Canada and the U.S., unless something goes really wrong here. Canada and U.S. will have a bye. I'm looking forward to. I hope it's Canada U.S. next Sunday, and then we'll have to do the combo after the gold medal game.
Is it not Saturday?
I think it's Sunday.
Well, I got Saturday.
I think the women's gold medal is Saturday, and the men's is Sunday.
Okay. Well, whatever happens, we'll have another Sunday spectacular to either break down what happened the night before, or we'll just kind of do what we can to keep everybody posted on our feelings when it comes to the Maple Leafs and where we think they're going to go. I don't think much changes between now and then, but hey, Olympic hockey is fun hockey. I wish there was just a little bit more equality when you kind of look at the teams and you can see that other hockey nations are growing to the same extent as the U.S. and Canada, but you just kind of never know what you're going to get every time you get into an Olympic or world championship setting. And here we are. I think it's Canada, United States, and that's going to be a lot of fun. And as I mentioned, I mean, it's not just about the game. There's a lot of other things that are implicated with the meeting of the two if it does come about. And I hope, like I said, this is not something that divides our two countries, but brings us closer together. And there you go. Kumbaya, Mike. That's how we'll finish the show. Mr. A, what else are you working on? What else can we support you on?
Well, I'm doing Olympic podcasts for the Hockey News, writing every day on the Sabres, writing
Right.
every day on the Leafs. So I'm everywhere, folks.
Okay. Well, guys, search Mike Augello on YouTube and whatever he's doing, do what you can to support it. In the meantime, like the content, subscribe to the channel, tell your friends about it. If something breaks, we'll be in before next week, but if not, we'll see you in 7 days' time. For Mr. Augello, I'm Mr. James. The Leafs Convo is out.